Good evening. This is Jupiter Exile, and we've returned once more to Sunless Skies. We're at the Wolvesy, I see. Where did we leave off? Trying to recall the details. Now, I remember we had brought the Baroness aboard, and she wants to be seen down to Old Tom's Well. Crockery at Port Avon, souls for Port Prosper. It's a bit of a runaround. We're in good repair, and we have plenty of sovereigns. What else does our journal have to say about things? Now, we should be going by Bathysphere to Old Tom's Well, to the south of New Winchester. Do we have business in any other nearby ports? We could tour through Lustrum. We may be able to return to the nature reserve, but I don't recall how long ago that was that we were last there. We needed to see the traveling magician over at, the circus. The circus needs me to see the reclusive carpenter in Port Avon. I see. So I had a few reasons to go to Port Avon, perhaps also Lustrum. Let's see. Well, I'm not entirely opposed to going to Port Avon. It's a very, very quick journey. What do they need there? 5 crates of nostalgic crockery. Let's see to this, just to warm up, remember what we're doing, get our feet under us. Only 5 crates. Got the drill, the cannery, yes. City cabins, Heathcliff door plating. Oh, yes, that was the experimental plating. I have been quite busy of late, so I've been away for a while. Good to return. Port Avon's a very, very quick trip, so it's no matter. Do we have any port reports on hand, I wonder? Ah, yes, quite a lot. How am I doing for Savage Secrets? 17? A good number. 22 Gossip. 13 Ministry Stamped Permits. I could use more otherworldly artifacts. I think I can get otherworldly artifacts by turning port reports into the Tacadies. Let's see. I see I'm wholly without terror and nightmares. How fortuitous. Here you are. I only had 3 that could actually be turned in here. Oh, but I've got a lot of Tacady gratitude. Let's stock these up. I'm not certain. Maybe a couple. It'd be nice. Such is the merit of conversing with fellow captains. You try and see if anybody may join you on your journeys. Loneliness is deadly after a fashion. Well, not loneliness per se, but the madness that comes after the fact. 18, looking pretty good. So I'll make this delivery, and then I might just go down to Lustrum directly from here, check in with my mining operation, and then from there go to Old Tom's Well. Oh, it's further north than I need to be. I can restock on fuel and supplies in a lot of different places. As for Port Prosper, I think it'll be a while before I go back there. So the fact that they're looking for souls is not very important. This bombazine was for the House of Rods and Chains. That will be quite a while indeed. I'm still wondering when we'll need to go to the Blue Kingdom. Unfortunately soon, I think. I've heard very little about the Blue Kingdom, except that it's deadly, and that's where the dead are. Opportunity for hours. Cheap fuel, always welcome. Bit of crockery. Oh, a bargain on bombazine. I'll take that, thank you. And we can stand to buy a few supplies. Now then. Did I still have to talk to... Yes, the reclusive carpenter. Oh, he requested something different than usual. I saw a mention of Chorister Bee. Chorister Bee hairs for the carpenter. I haven't gotten that request from him before. It's always been Scribe Spinster corpses before. Well, that's a bit more of a trip, but we're going in that direction anyhow. I'm not too concerned about whether or not we complete everything for Palmyra and Plenty's. It's a sideshow, ultimately. Oh? Few hours, perhaps? Good. Something more for the bank. Ah, I should have thought if I was going to Lustrum. No, I've already given Melusine Murgatroyd the things she needed. I need to meet her back on the mountaintop if I want to continue. And that was the trouble. That damned mountaintop. Grab a couple Visions of the Heavens. I could have spent more time in Port Avon to scarper up a lot more Visions of the Heavens. So, missed opportunity then. Let's see, I think I might be able to go full speed through the Bonnie Shepherds and into the Desolation of Saliba. Let's not crash. Sorry, my perfect little friend. This may cause you some distress. Now, when I start to get into the Desolation of Saliba, it will become a bit more likely to collide with something. Make sure I'm lined up correctly coming through the Bonnie Shepherds. Going to miss a possibly profitable conflict with that vessel. Excuse me. I'm making very good time. You will need to stay out of my way. Okay. So we want to start hooking a turn, and we'd be insane to keep this speed going, and we're very likely to run into conflict here. There we go. Disengaged. Conflict! Oh, it still manages to get the shot off. Get you out of the way. Excuse me. Pick up an uncanny specimen from this. This charming little ruin will actually make it quite difficult to scrape through here. There we go. And another. This is what happens anytime you don't equip your assaying gear. Excuse me. That'll deal with him. So much more fuel consumption to worry about now. But it's a luxurious sort of worry. I still haven't deigned to save up for anything like the Moloch. That would be... That one's quite the luxury liner. It's a gas guzzler. The mountain sings. And we will join. Let's visit our very own claim along the mountain. How's our haul? Liner. Nothing much to report. Ready to start loading up the barrels. Very good. 9 barrels of ours. Not bad. Ah, claim is run dry. 5 more. Oh, whoops. I should not have clicked through that. I can retrieve 1 crew member for now. Back to the Hanged Man. Plot against the Windward Company. More hours. Round of drinks. Celebrate my wealth. Ah, yes. Mr. Barleycorn's seal shown to Mr. Penny's. Are you related at all? Mr. Penny's pounces on the seal. The Seneschal, it wheezes. 1 of 7. Still loyal? Yes, always loyal. Always waiting for reward. No reward for those who serve the messengers. Always outcasts. Always disappointed. Here, take seal. May help. Ah, the seal of Mr. Penny's. Interesting. Well, here. Some hours for otherworldly artifacts. I think that's a one-time option. Yes, he will now only offer hours for money at a very, very terrible rate. Pennies, as it were. Doctor up a quick port report. Ask after the magician. Ah, yes, the traveling magician. I need to find her. That's right. And that is going to get more likely the more places I visit. The urchin takes your sovereign before answering your question. Yes, I know of her. Wears a toff's outfit but isn't one, and does all sorts with handkerchiefs. He peers at the fortunate navigator's companion strapped to his back. Is he sleeping or dead? He's dead, isn't he? Did you lose a bet? Anyway, the magician left yesterday. Don't know where she's going. Still, you've narrowed down the list. Drop off my passenger for the New Street line. Lustrum does not offer an easy life, but it does offer an escape from the law. Your work-world escapee will ostensibly be brought in to work for one of the more affluent prospectors. This prospector has won their riches not through mining, but through the philanthropist's friendship. Now they pay their debt by providing for those the New Street line sends their way. Well, let's use up a bit of supply. That frees up a bit of space in the hold. Now, unexpectedly, with this many hours in the hold, I might just turn back around. That's a lot. So with that, we might just be making our way back up to New Winchester and then taking a separate trip down, instead of going from here to Old Tom's Well as I had originally intended. Yeah, it's just a lot of money. They have bargains for more. My goodness. Sell off a bit of fuel. I know I can make it on 5. Right, let's move along. This will actually be, I think, a bit of a terse journey. But yes, exhausting a claim is worth a lot of hours. That was also the second time we had pulled hours out of the claim. So that is hours on hours. So I didn't get a note about which places I need to check for the musician. You find the traveling musician if you wish to see a tiger. But it did not indicate the locations to look. The journal's usually clearer about those notes. Maybe I could talk to you to get a refresher? Nope. Alright, well, that's that. Gotta remember a couple of things. I think Port Prosper was one of the possible locations, at the very least. But I'll have to be a bit more thorough in each space that I go to for now. Until I can recall where that person might be. Oh, you didn't. I've taken to thinking of the Desolation of Saliba as only technically a horror. Like, cross through here very casually at this point. Our 19th facet. Let's see. We are wealthy in several attributes. I could use more irons and veils. Then it's a kinship with rats. You suspect you were their mascot. They were always very kind. Sometimes they left you little squares of cheese. Bit of role reversal. It's handy to go to war with rats instead of against them. Those who have played Fallen London, you may have grappled with some number of rats infesting your manor. Only a matter of time before they get into your lodgings. Not long now until the captain can begin in the extra 10 levels once you've hit level 20. All the extra 10 attribute bumps that you can get across each attribute. I think, given that we're that far along, I'm guessing our maximum veils is going to be something like 35 or 40. Our maximum irons will break 50, but not much more than that. Let's see, with one more facet to take, the highest I could get it to is 55, with and then followed by officer bonuses. So not enough to equip the better plates. I think I have a bit more than I need in terms of mirrors and hearts, but that only applies to equipment. It does not apply to the checks we're making. Okay. Yeah, it was basically either come back or lose this haul. I'm just going to sell off a lot of these hours. It's like 17 extra hours. I can't think of the opportunities to make use of that. That's a lot of runs, back and forth, doing various things. A lot of places only tend to ask for hours, about 3 or 4 at a time anyway. You can reliably offload them, I think, at Brabazon, but it's not as easy to offload things as it is in Sunless Seas. The Bombazine I'm very happy to have. Have it. Yeah, a haul of 52 hours in the bank. More than necessary. Lead Beater and Stainrod with like 5 hours. Well, there you go. Let's do that. Hold on to some of that. But at the Victoria Market, we'll sell directly from the bank about 15 hours or so. It's a good 1,200 sovereigns. It's not bad. And we'll buy more fuel. I just put that in the bank. It's not the worst case to have a bit of fuel and supplies in the bank, I suppose. A little unintentional. Let's see. This should be fine. Although, let's make sure I'm not missing or forgetting something. We're good. All right. I didn't think there was a magician stop in New Winchester regarding the Fortunate Navigator's plotline. Though if I've forgotten all the places that person can be at, it's going to be difficult to follow along with that. I suppose I could check some archived footage from the last time I'd sat down. It's a very recent leg of the journey. It's just somewhat difficult to progress when the second leg of a journey for a companion requires you to go out to Eagle's Empyrean. Although, thinking about it, I believe that the Hoarder wants me to go to the Blue Kingdom at this point. The Clay Conductor certainly does. The Hoarder... Oh, needs to return to Faith's Fall. Well, I'll need to make sure I do that before I leave the Reach. I do have a bit more business around here. If I use the traditional Eleutheria relay, that would take me back by Faith's Fall, going through Hybris and all that. But I had been thinking about working on the new updated relay. Oh, conflict. Ministry secrets, please. I could get permits. An unlicensed chart. No, a cryptic benefactor. That's a 10th cryptic benefactor. It's a bit more than necessary, but oh well. Oh no, bees. I'll grab some permits. This Tackety Liberator considers me aggressive. Does not disappoint. Is that it for you? Seems to be. I'll rescue survivors just to reduce terror, even though I can't bring anybody aboard. Terror seems to have crept up a good bit from those attempted journeys. We will shave the bee to possibly fix the the magician's equipment later. So I have to go back to the carpenter in Port Avon, then back to Palmyra and Plenty's for the magician. We'll see whether or not that gets done anytime soon. Oof. A lot of back and forth for Palmyra's. It's not bad for profit when you're first starting, but it's very out of your way to run subsequently. Oh, Peacock win. With the Tisiphone, I can fly against this, and the pace I make is actually fine. I could try to full steam through it by the same token. Go. Unsettled dreams. Wake. Details of terror for a vision of the heavens. That's beneficial. We'll do it. It's not a big terror gain for this benefit. There we go. Putting in here, I'll try joining a hunting party. Get ourselves a caged catch and a bit of a terror reduction for the success of it. Pass off those hours. A tidy profit, otherworldly artifact. Not interested in buying munitions at the moment. A small, excessive, nervous restocking. I'll take a quick trip into the reserve. And at Capabilities Inquest, talk to base of research. Okay, I see. I still have to turn things in. Following requests. More stomach of a cantankery, fungal crinoline. How many of those do I already have? I've collected the cantankery stomach and collected that. I haven't found a fungal crinoline. I'm not going to find a fungal crinoline. It's very random. So let's just turn in the things I have. I thought I had already done this. I suppose not. Here. On to work, please. Alright, 15 days before I can come back for anything meaningful. And that should be everything here, unless port, and I can pick up sapling knots for export. Next time I put in a new Winchester, I can drop those off for a very small payday. That's just kind of routine maintenance stuff. Gotta make sure you're doing that every time you're heading back and forth between these spots. Feels kind of like running salt from the salt lions. Just one of those things you can do. Very routinely tie up a little profit. All right, back to our quest for the truth. 'Cause that's why we're headed down to this vault. Or not this vault, the well. I'll grab this bronze wood. Bit of a scrape, it's okay. Bit of bronze wood, bit of honey. They might catch up if they keep at that, and it looks like they're of the mind too. So we'll stop them. And I'll get a bit of Chorister Nectar for my trouble. Now then, on through Tiglar's haunt. And on to Old Tom's Well. That is a star-maddened explorer. There we go. And that's another one. Bulging sack of sovereigns. Bit of extra fuel. Scribe spinsters hanging out. Go. Sent to Old Tom's Well. Descend into the well in the Baroness's bathysphere. It will take more than a day to prepare the equipment and anchor the winch and pulley. Your crew will remain behind to man it while you and the Baroness descend into the well. The assembly is difficult. The well winds howl, dragging any unsecured tools or equipment over the edge. The cold bites, freezing fingers and faces. Picks and hammers break on the packed black ice. Eventually, the machinery is ready, the bathysphere poised at the well's edge. Below it is the roiling, thirsty depth, blacker than oil, blacker than pitch, blacker than the space between the stars. Do you know, the Baroness says, in a low voice only you can hear, I'm not certain I can do this. I say nothing and climb in. You strap yourself into one of the seats. A minute later, the Baroness clambers in, sitting herself in the seat behind you. Let's not talk about it, please, she says, and begins to check dials and gauges. One of your officers closes the hatch, shutting you in. There is a sense of sudden vertigo as the sphere swings out over the well. Then, with a jerk, you begin to descend. The well's tumult makes the bathysphere swing and spin. It is a rocky, nauseous descent. Soon, the last light of the stars falters, and the windows are dark. But there is movement in that dark, like ink stirred into water. I think perhaps it is better not to see. You try to ignore the thrashing darkness outside, and instead trade stories of your journeys in the sky. Occasionally you're interrupted by something bashing against the bathysphere, making it dance like a struck conker. You cling to the interior handles as you are bashed about in your restraining straps. Probably something caught in the winds and dragged in, the Baroness shouts during the first such incident. Fortunately, the plating holds, and so does the cable. According to the bathysphere's clocks, you descend for more than a day. Then the winds begin to ease. The sphere stops spinning and swaying. There's an eerie calm, then a sudden, grinding collision, then silence. "I think we've hit the bottom," the Baroness says. Her voice is bleak. Unfastening your straps, you unlock the hatch and climb out. The Baroness hands you a lamp and follows. The ground is a compact frozen scree of stellar detritus. Footing is perilous. You can hear the moan of the well winds far overhead, but the air here is still as stagnant water. Motes of dust hang unfalling in it. You make your careful way from the well wall and down the slope. "Wait," the Baroness says suddenly, and raises her lamp. The light gleams on something gold and gargantuan overhead. You stand amidst the gold bones of a sun. They vault and arch like a murdered cathedral, ribs as big as bridges, a curve of skull vast enough to dome all of London. You scramble like ants beneath them, discovering that their lengths are twisted and splintered, mangled by some impossible force. There is pressure in your ears, as if unheard thunder was resounding around you. This is ensuring that our nightmares are not such that this endeavor would kill us. I want to know. The pressure tightens. You hear distant, thundering words, accompanied by blazing visions. They rage against the sun's death at the hands of a half-son, a midnight murderer. The killer sent false messengers bearing a well seed. They planted the seed in the sun's heart, and it bloomed and ravened, a lawless killing, a shameful death enacted without due ceremony. Your mind abandons its grip on consciousness as oaths of futile vengeance thunder through your dreams. When you awake, you are strapped to the bathysphere as it completes its final violent ascent from the well. The winds are roused, roaring at the sphere in a frenzy. "Nearly there," the Baroness yells, and soon the sphere is deposited, smashed beyond further use, onto the edge of Old Tom's Well. Success. And in comparison to that, getting your sample back to the Baroness's laboratory in New Winchester should be easy. I didn't expect it to jar us all the way back out of the well that suddenly. We continue then. Soul's not flickering, so I don't have business in Carillon. And it's profitable to go by the Jedicus hives, so we'll do that. I had avoided blasting apart a few bees and things. Give them a bit of a return trip. So, the son of the Reach was murdered by a half-midnight sun. Is it referring to the son of Eleutheria or something else? Something less clear? The bones of the sun exist in Old Tom's Well, because that itself is the corpse of the judgment. It was brought into being, or destroyed in that way, by a well seed delivered by a messenger from another star. And that, after a fashion, this was considered to be an ignoble death. I expect the judgments, like man as well, have some notion of a death that is proper. Something funerary that is appropriate to them. Despite their difficult peculiarities. There's no reason to put in its lead beaters again. So we'll just keep making our way through here. And we'll have to think about who we're bringing aboard next. I think it might be time to go to the Blue Kingdom. I think of the two members that are remaining perform their investigations, one of them wanted to go to Pan, and the other, I think, wanted to go to the Blue Kingdom. I'll want to make a trip to Magdalene's before I progress to the Blue Kingdom. That's fine. We can do that. Village, the stores. Lost a crew member. Shame. Was actually a little close to that. The HML Defenestrator. Entertaining. I'll raid the hold. Sheaf of papers. Industry stamp permits. That's hardly worthwhile. I can salvage plating here. Well, definitely have cause to go up to Magdalene's. Bronzewood cargo. Very valuable. I got the critical hit notice. Forget what that actually means. But it's fine. We'll be repaired shortly. I think the critical hit notice means that if you sail around for too long before getting repairs, you'll get an event. But we're fine. Fine. Any new prospects, I wonder? Bronzewood for Port Prosper? Well, we'll take up that job. Won't do it immediately. Make deposits. Get repairs. Also repair the critical damage you've suffered. Yeah, I think the... might have been reducing the maximum hull? No, it's just listed as critical damage quality. Deliver these sapling knots for a bit of sovereigns. Let us assist the Baroness in performing a solar autopsy. You have material from the corpses of both the Son of Albion and the Son of the Reach. What can you learn from them? The Baroness maintains a well-stocked laboratory in her cellar. You convene there to conclude your research. What killed the Son of the Reach? The Baroness investigates. It was killed by a titanic mangling force. Even the grain of its bone fibers are distorted. You deploy implements, acids, and the industrial vice she keeps in her laboratory to see if you can duplicate the effect, but find nothing able to generate the necessary pressure. Whatever did this to the sun, it was beyond the reach of mortals. What killed the son of Albion? Of course, Her Majesty claims the King of Ours was defeated by the might of the Empire's navy. I've always had my doubts. Let's see, shall we? Examining it through a microscope, it is immediately apparent that the son of Albion wasn't killed by munitions, but by poison. It has worked its way into every golden cell. The poison itself you cannot isolate or extract. It is as insubstantial as a thought. You examine it more closely. The patterns of its spread are regular, like the strokes of a pen. You point this out to the Baroness. Fascinating. If only we had more. The lines look like fragments of correspondence sigils, don't they? Can words be poison, I wonder? A mysterious noise from the back of the laboratory. It is coming from a heavy glass jar on a workbench. The jar rattles as something iridescent whirls inside. That's a sample of the peacock wind, the Baroness says, frowning. What's got it agitated? Should we find out? You open the jar. The wind tears from it, and across the lab to the slab of gold bone, where it rages in a brief, localized hurricane that scatters equipment across the cellar. Then with an anguished wail, it disappears. The Baroness climbs to her feet. I wonder, do suns have souls? Do they leave ghosts? There are a great many winds in the heaven, aren't there? Let us conclude our research. The Baroness ticks off points on her fingers. Firstly, that suns are not merely dying, they are being killed. Secondly, that the methods of their death are beyond the means of lesser beings. That in turn suggests that things responsible are suns themselves, or entities of a comparable magnitude. She frowns. I must say, this is rather grander than I had anticipated. I see why it consumed our mutual friend. But I think that's all we can achieve for now. I'll continue to research this, but anything more will take time. I'd recommend you turn to another line of investigation for now, my lord. You've learned something you should not. All right, let's agree to transport the Didact on a research trip. A library in the Blue Kingdom at the Forge of Souls. He begins to pack his things, mostly books, and a jangling collection of amulets and talismans he retrieves from his shelves. I'm unsure exactly what the roll of ash is or contains. I know that it is the work of the courtesy, a topic which our masked friend is looking into. Some of our strands are beginning to tie together. Currently, the roll is in the keeping of someone called the Lamentation of Mists. He boards your engine gingerly. I have curtailed my travel lately, he says, peering suspiciously at the stars. Increasingly, I believe some things are best left undiscovered. The Didact is aboard. Other business. So, I'm going to make my way up to Magdalene's. I think the question is, should I go to Port Prosper to drop off a few things while I'm doing this? And I think the proper answer to that is yes. So we'll need 3 souls and 7 bronze wood to complete some deliveries. And we'll need to have adequate fuel and supplies. Seems to be an ever-increasing amount, but I'm only idly troubled by it. It's not a grave concern. I'm going to keep making my port report drop-offs here at Victory Hall. There you are. A few more otherworldly artifacts, please. Thank you for scrounging these up for me. Moving right along. Ouch. You're summoned to the engine room to discover a condition of emergency. The firebox thunders. Inside it, an inferno rages, its flames a stark, strobing blue. The boiler creaks and rattles. It is beginning to overheat. Fires won't go out, Captain. I will starve the flames. Locomotive will suffer while they burn out, but you should be able to prevent a boiler rupture. Ouch. Pipes shriek and split. Your locomotive threatens to shake itself apart. You ease the pressure where you can and make the most vital repairs. Eventually, the roaring fire dies down to sullen sapphire embers. Will it come back, Captain? An engineer asks. You cannot answer. I see that it took 51% of my hull's health. Interesting. I wonder, will your plating repair my ship? Just a little bit. Full throttle. That was close. Shattered apart by that crash. Take your parts. Yeah, we're largely just going to try to put the ship back together as we go. Bittersweet aria. I'll mourn the dead here for the terror reduction. Captain's cabin on this Reach Marauder. Bit of Salon Stew Gossip. Nope. Bit of a collision there. We're okay. Back up to 64 from the 53 that it left us at. I wonder if that result takes 51% of your current hull or your total hull. I wouldn't put it past us. I wouldn't put it past the game to simply and kind of indiscriminately kill you through the ministrations of the fire that follows while you're working on the search for the truth. We need to be focused on the main story at this point. It's going to keep getting worse, and it's going to keep coming. Keepsake market. Purchase an otherworldly artifact, that's fine. Stop in at the house itself to write a port report while we're here, might as well. Oh, didn't mean to click on that. Oh, I'm actually out of moments of inspiration, I didn't realize. Well then, might as well treat our terror. Got a lot of gossip. Let's get treatment for guilt. Someone from our past. I think further treatment for guilt then. I'm a very boring individual. Ah, such sublime tedium. No need for any of this. Onward to Port Prosper. This time I'm not going to go through Brayley Rock, which is my usual route. Often I'm often feeling pugnacious. Not at the moment. I don't want to delay my business too much. So the relay to the Blue Kingdom, I believe, is just around the bend from New Winchester. I'm not certain if something stops me from going through it. Part of the reason I tend to insist on these conflicts is that simply sailing through here is actually very risky. Get up some gossip. Looks like we can slip by. Both Tackety Liberators and Ministry Monitors very easy to deal with when they're not already firing. But if you come across them and they happen to be firing in some random direction, it's not unusual to get scraped. It's not resting too heavily on the bridge of my nose. A wreck will mourn the dead, keep our terror down at nothing. That's enough out of you. Scrap your engine for materials. 16 hull out of the deal. Pretty good. Put us at or just under 80 hull. At. I think I forgot to turn in stovepipe nameplates while I was in Lustrum at Sweet Jane's counting house. Terribly unfortunate, that. I think I still need to be paid for sabotaging the Tackety meeting over in New Winchester. Interesting that they'll never really yell at you for playing both sides. You just won't get the gains of working for one or the other. Checking after the magician. Not here. Just missed her. Not at the second place you looked. Transport to settlers. Lustrum. It often is Lustrum, after all. Success. A cryptic benefactor, 1,000 experience, 3 barrels of hours, 10 gratitude. That is quite valuable. Spot of tea at the Admiral Nelson. We'll take tea with the ladies who brunch. This is unlocked by our existing reputation. 8 ministry-approved literature? Good lord. You leave burdened by both books and gloomy thoughts in your own moral character. Improving literature for the new generation is passed around the table like cards at a particularly vicious game of bridge. Clemens has underlined the passages she thinks Florence most needs to hear, whilst Jeremy has brought something of his own devising, likening the other members of the circle to the 7 deadly sins. The atmosphere is tense and lightened only by jam and scones. You leave burdened by both books and gloomy thoughts in your own moral character. Huh. That was absurdly valuable. Well, at the chairman's office. Going for Savage Secrets and nameplates, I think. Savage Secrets and paperwork, perhaps. All right, well, we've got what we were going to get. Let's sell off these prospects, get our hold emptied up again. That's money. And we're still hovering at mixed fortunes. Very nice. Come out of this very stocked. Very stocked indeed. Now I can't get any repairs here. Alright. I'll be heading down now to check on the relay. Let's see what we need to do. Relay is pretty much right next to New Winchester, over in Trapisto, so I may stop in for repairs before I follow through on that. There's no harm in it, really, and 29 hull is meaningful damage. Alright then, first trip to the Blue Kingdom. I haven't been on any captain before, remember if I already looted that vessel. I suppose not, but whatever. I suppose the way I get around this is 601. This next obstacle on the south. I'll share some gossip. A little bit of a collision, but I'm going for repairs anyways. It's not the worst. So I loosely understand that the Blue Kingdom is a smaller area. But more dangerous. I don't know exactly why just yet, but we'll see. I'm assuming that there are creatures that spawn there that are almost wholly unique. Maybe more of that being that I loosely saw in Eleutheria before running away. Full repairs. Okay. Our crew's in a good state. Drop off a few things in the bank, a lot of literature. It's quite useful. And I'm going to stock up on a preposterous amount of fuel, I think. Yeah, that looks quite preposterous. Put this hold space to work. Now, in terms of putting this hold space to work, I think I'd rather have my assaying tools than be carrying a drill going into a new mysterious area. So let's see about that. Now then, can I simply go into this relay? What is it going to ask of me? There's a variety of things I could schlep on over here if it needs something truly unique. I have almost every object in the game at least a singular quantity. Most of them don't have the kind of uses they used to have before. The endgame in Sunless Sky is a few pegs lower than the endgame for Sunless Seas, but inheritance is easier as well, so it's like a double reduction in grind. Haven't been back into here since the first captain in the lineage. Impatient winds. Oh, it's just the whisper winds again. There. Take a secret from me. Be on your way. The Blue Kingdom Transit Relay. You'll need references of acceptable character, and of course, there is a processing fee. Once you have a permit, you can travel here. Via the relay, future captains will inherit. Ministry stamped permit. Having no permits. 500 sovereigns. Very good. You now have a Reach Blue Kingdom Transit permit. And it's an otherworldly artifact to travel first class, or 2 hours for second class, or 2 jumbles of souls for unofficial travel. Interesting. Well, we've been through relays before. The official will not touch the artifact himself. Horrible thing. He presses a button. An underling scurries in to take it away in a brass box. The relay machinery grinds and stirs. The steam vents. The sigils of the edifice burn with sullen fire. A force like a great hand seizes your engine. Not unlike the function of the other relays, of course. It's my expectation that what we will be engaging with is something like the southeast corner of the regular map. All right. Doesn't seem necessarily smaller. Once devils ruled here, now only bureaucracy. Huh. Sky Barnet is here immediately. A constant stream of dead spirits enters the Blue Kingdom through the base of the tower. Once there was a manned toll gate, but the fees have become more complicated, and the toll window is closed now. This is our core port. We can repair and take on crew. And the bank is accessible here as well. Okay, the Moloch is the luxury liner that's available here. Same as in the Reach. Petrichor. What is this? Oh, the food of the dead. It is pale as the ghost of a moon, sweeter than spun sugar, crumbles in your mouth like plaster of Paris. The last autumnal slope, we could theoretically buy different ship components. Okay, so the adjustable infirmary is a strict upgrade over the Gleaming Galley. The Watchers in Azure. Armored assaying. Oh, and that's an armor component in and of itself. It just enables assaying. Requires the immense hearts that we thankfully have. We'll buy both of these, of course. Gates of Ivory is a utility slot with a lot of hold. You can also buy a Tisiphone here if you don't have one. Very good. 16 armor and 1 assaying. We can plug that in, and then this. I see. It decreased our armor and then increased our armor, so as a result, we have the appearance of having taken damage. That's okay. The Attaché's search for the lost love. The supercilious attaché is a very bleak man, apparently. When you mention the bleak industrialist's name, his secretary suddenly waves you through. You find the attaché hunched at his desk, halfway through a mackerel sandwich. The bureaucracy here is utterly intractable, he moans. I tried all the official channels, honestly. I filled forms until my hands bled, but they won't even tell me where she is. It's no use anyway. The dead can't go back. A spirit is sent first to the White Well for judgment at the stone-faced court, explains the attaché. If they are officially declared dead, they move on to death's door. From there, well, nobody knows. I have something that may help your search, if you insist on persisting. He retrieves a wax tablet from his drawer and pushes it across the desk. It declares the bearer is officially dead. Everything here runs on spit and paperwork, you see. I went to a lot of trouble to get hold of this, so tell the industrialist that my debt is paid. The entry hall runs through the toll tower, through gates that are never closed. The hall is full of passing spirits, few of them human. A masked warhorse, a masked dolphin, swimming easily in the ghost of an ocean. A creature with 10-foot wings, which would certainly be more frightening if it showed its true face. No one speaks, and there are no footfalls, only a faint susurration like the drift of leaves. There are stairs up and down, and less ordinary means of entry. A masked orangutan just descended a pole to the floor below. Alongside the grand entrance is the marketplace of litigators for all who need companionship and guidance in their encounter with the Blue Kingdom. Downstairs, prominent devils live, and in the upper floor of the toll tower is the Embassy of Albion. There's an embassy here? Looking for antedeceased status in the Blue Kingdom. Oh, I see. Antedeceased would be living. Blue Kingdom is open to different spirits depending on the status that they hold. Newcomers are invisible, and they can go almost nowhere, not even to the House of Days, says the secretary. Those who have not yet died must go to the stone-faced court to be acknowledged as antedeceased. If you were dead, you would be given the status of ephemera. The ephemera prepare to pass through into the heart of the Blue Kingdom. Is that all? It is not. The yoked are servants in the Blue Kingdom, and dead as well. You won't want that status. But, she adds, if you really want all the details in this matter, you should go to the marketplace of litigators and be properly instructed. There are experts who can explain for hours. Local bureaucracy? Need little reports here. I fear you'll have to hire your own litigator from the marketplace of litigators if you want representation. I see. Reports. Invest in copies of the cultural attaché's work. There are 19 volumes published. This exchanges gratitude for a volume of notes on the Blue Kingdom, which can be used to hire certain assistants. Alright. Oh, I forgot. I should be putting away my extra bits of equipment. Marketplace of litigators. Litigators and resident devils have set up their stalls among the crowd heading into the Blue Kingdom. Don't go alone. Hire a psychopomp, advises a banner in indigo lettering. A masked woman is negotiating at the first booth, offering 2 silver coins and a lock of hair. I can hire a nameless spirit using a vision of the heavens. A cowled loquator. Oh, they can assist with different kinds of challenges. Interesting. And I can hire them with different bits of gear. Preliminary consultations free of charge. You ought to be marked antedeceased, explains the litigator bluntly. You know what that means, of course. Have a seat. Consultation is free of charge for the first 12 hours. Interesting. What are the logoi? Words spoken by the Sapphired King. They are decrees. They are statements about how the world should be. They are giant wheels of spinning fire. Some notes. You copy what you hear, but the liturgy is repetitious, and you are soon embellishing it with stories of invented shades and ruined monuments to past empires. Well, if I can do this, let's try the Embittered Devil. My irons are not great. If I could do irons and veils specifically, that would be ideal, but let's just go to the bank, withdraw a jumble of souls, and then at the toll tower in the marketplace we hire an Embittered Devil. We will assist you for a month before further payment is required. Interesting. So you can rent people to get bonuses on challenges here. Prospects. Gemstones for the White Well. 5 casks of Navarretine gemstones. Northwest of Sky Barnet. Literature for Death's Door. 7 boxes. North from the transit relay on the other side of the Blue Kingdom. Interesting. Let's pick up both prospects. So, 5 gemstones. I'll worry about the literature later. Partially because this will fill up my hold. Also because I'm not sure where I can actually go here before accomplishing more. I don't think I had much to do in Sky Barnet specifically. The 13th Psalmists want to go to the White Well. The Long Passage, go to the Jeweled Judge of the White Well. Regarding the Dismal Chamberlain, that's more about us than it is about here. Yep, my doubt. Bright eyes, cold hands around my heart. I haven't seen any notes about cold hands. I'm hoping that comes to light here. We need to find out where the Forge of Souls is. Oh, I haven't freed the half-glass. Oh well. I'm very busy. That is at the Berenger. And the rest of this is... not a priority. Oh, there's the Miss Miss Peppercorn is probably... Okay. So Miss Peppercorn would have to be at Titania. I could have gone there. Oops. There was the listing in the journal. It just wasn't under the Fortunate Navigator. So, we'll be going to the northwest then. So the White Well is a well, but it's referred to as a regular port. Looks like I can go under this. Where they were answered. Oh, there's a minor port here. What is this? You enter Evelyn's Wood, a garden where the dead are permitted to linger. This is the House of Days, where Pansicritus may be petitioned. The house is lit from nowhere in the color of dawn. It has no windows anywhere in its great facade, only colonnades and stone. It gives the impression of having been extended again and again, portions of the building at different heights with different roofs. The House of Days is a palace so large that it is hard to see both ends of the facade. The staircase up is many stories tall and ballrooms wide. There's only one door. Spirits go in briskly, but those who come out are slower, not always sure where to go next. A masked, rubbery spirit sits on the steps, holding an application tablet smeared in yellowish fluid. Application denied. No right of appeal. Attempting the doorway? One of the wheels circles you. You have no shadow illuminated like this. Fact strikes you as obscurely shameful. You are invisible, says the wheel, though the language it uses is a single word, which is its own name, and which you comprehend without translation. You must present yourself to the proper authorities and be given a status in the Blue Kingdom. I see. We're not going to be able to go many places yet. Right to an audience. Testaments of the Feather. Oh, you can be judged here. Each time you hear the name, it conveys new meanings to you. The Pansicritus is a logos, a word that was spoken by the westernmost king and has echoed ever since. Depending on your translator, the Pansicritus's meaning may be rendered as any of these phrases: eternal dominion, everything in its place, no drop-in meetings permitted. The sigil is painted in nectar on the ceiling of the court of hummingbirds for the better understanding of the winged spirits. In the court of whales, it is expressed in bass song. In the court of bloodhounds, it is translated almost accurately as a scent of vetiver and sandalwood. You can fail in approaching what appears to have the role of judging the dead, and be stripped of your status in the kingdom of the dead, the status of your very soul. All right, let's be a bit more judicious about how we're sailing around. Oh. Star-maddened explorer, excuse me. Just a regular old encounter. We'll search for survivors. A living soul. Yeah, I'll bring him on. Want to make sure he's living. I can't feed the dead right now. I haven't bought any of the food for the dead. That is just a floating correspondence sigil. And we're not going to pick a fight with it. A crimson logos watches these hallways and keeps the temple here. A crimson logos. So that's what that being is. It's a word spoken by an emperor. That might be the White Well. I'm gonna hope that most things here will not pick a fight with us if we are doing the right thing. We just have to discern what that is. It's quite nice that this has, like, calming music. This is like a pipe organ piece. I think this place ought to have a somewhat sacred funerary tone. But this is a place that is gripped tightly in the throes of light and law, the opposite of Eleutheria, but no less dangerous. A stoker is praying, though I walk through the shadow of the valley of death, though I walk through the shadow. 7 final footsteps. Something in that direction is already aggressive. And I don't know what it is. Logos of the Visitation. My goodness. A Resurrectionist and a Spirifer engine. Let's try and get them on the opposite side of me and this other creature. He's a strafer. So there are resurrectionists here. Makes sense if this is the kingdom of the dead. I killed it. Whew! An aureate logos diminished. A wheel of living flame, a commandment of the westernmost kingdom's highest law, an utterance of fire and glory. This logos was one of the visitation who deliver trials upon the dead pilgrims of the ephemera caste. It is not dead, only diminished. It will rekindle in time, at which point it would be advisable to be far away. I will celebrate my victory. Hooray! A stoker brings out his fiddle, a signaler her flute. The galley is raided. The bridge becomes an East End pub for an evening, and several of your crew get blind drunk. The laughter is queasy with the dissipation of terror. Right, let's move along. The Spirifer is likely a decently dangerous ship, though not anything singularly strange. Its missile doesn't seem to have a lot of range. The narrow road, so thick beset. The conductor has a suggestion. Why don't we leave your aunt? The rest is lost under the barrage of her handbag. The stone-faced court. Yes, this would be the location at the White Well. Half ziggurat, half fortress, the court is where spirits go to face judgment before they meet their end. A meek little city has sprung up around it almost by default. A quietly frostbitten city that clings like a scab to the White Well. Masked dead wander its ice-sheathed streets, going wherever dead people go. A statue crumbles on every corner, subjecting passers-by to forbidding stone glares. At Erd's center looms the stone-faced court, where the dead are judged. A ziggurat wide as a mountain, as tall as a stack of castles, Erd's population are mostly waiting for permission to enter. Seek entry. Most of the population of Erd, it seems, are holding a place in the tangled queue. You see spirits departing and rejoining, silently tapping each other in and out. No one pushes, no one cuts in. An unfathomable etiquette is at work. When you ask a spirit near the front how long they've been waiting, they just shrug. A woman sits in a booth beside the gates. At least, you think she's a woman. The flesh above her collarbone has been carefully trimmed away, leaving a picked clean and perfectly bald skull with gemstones in its sockets. She grins more fixedly than one might expect, even from a skull. "It's a bit of a wait, dear," says the unreasonably chirpy administrator. Let's ask a litigator to intercede. The embittered devil gets into a raging row with the administrator, who grows less chirpy by the second. The devil makes demands and cites precedents, while the queuing spirits shift restlessly behind you. Something in the devil's arguments must have been sound, because finally the administrator waves you both through with a sigh. "Your entry permission lasts 1 month only," says the administrator, stamping a certificate and handing it to you. Valid for 30 days. You are not yoked. As you step inside the court, you are immediately accosted by another skull-headed gentleman, though his ivory is noticeably more worse for wear than the administrator's, yellowing, cracked, pitted with craters. The carious official glances irritably at its clipboard. Uninvisible, perfect, wonderful. An administrative nightmare was exactly what I needed at this juncture, in fact. He looks you over. "Ugh, well, follow me, I suppose. I'm your guide, welcome to the court, etc. Spirits are obliged to pretend that they can't see you, which could make for some excellent pranks if that were permitted, which it is not." Your footsteps ring out as you walk through the labyrinthine corridors of the stone-faced court. The bleak stone catches the echo and magnifies it 100-fold. "Delightful, aren't they?" mutters the official as you walk past a row of misshapen gargoyles. The court is vast and cold and almost entirely empty, unless you count the statues. Everywhere you look, there are statues in varying states of decay. Ooh. Huh. Trials take place in a grand chamber at the court's heart, dominated by a colossal basalt statue of a sphinx. Oh my, looking down at the neck, when it had said the flesh was picked clean from the collarbone up, my brain didn't get the full picture on that. That's quite something. As you enter, the jeweled judge is deliberating atop her throne. A masked spirit stands in the docks before her, placidly awaiting its fate. "Dead," mutters the official behind you. "Dead, dead, dead." She's going to say dead. Look, it's obviously dead. Nothing to see here, just dead. Hurry up, dead. "Dead," pronounces the judge, finally. Interesting. So I can provide Navarretine gemstones to have the quality of my soul, the power of my ideas, the texture of my terror measured. If you are worthy, you will receive a testament of roses that will cost you a moment of inspiration. I can be pronounced antedeceased. I will begin with a port report. You sit down with one of the skull-headed Graven and ask her what she's heard about recent developments at the court. 2 hours and 3 of your notebooks later, she's still talking about the recent doomed efforts of bureaucratic reform, which have inevitably made everything more complicated. Several put-upon mid-level administrators have cracked under the strain, regrown their faces, and fled the White Well to try to enjoy life. She whispers the latter with a note of genuine bafflement. Let's see about the industrialist's lost love. The judge peers at you. I have 72 more spirits to process before the end of the hour if I can hope to meet today's quota, she says. Do you really think I have time to pore over the records of all the spirits who passed through here and were declared dead? With an indulgence, I can call in a formidable favor. Interesting. I should have brought more Devaratine gemstones. They're quite the currency here. Let's be persuasive. We're good at that. She listens with sympathy as you relay the industrialist's story. Oh, fine, she says. I'll get to work. Come back at the end of the day. When you return, she's sitting before a book that's easily 4 times as tall as she is. The pages are cast from brittle clay, and a servile Graven stands atop a precarious stepladder, turning them periodically. She holds up a hand as he finally reaches the correct page. The spirit you seek has been judged as dead, says the judge. She has moved on to death's door. If you're lucky, you can reach her before she passes on. Declaration is antedeceased. The official sighs and pinches the spot where the bridges of his nose used to be. Always me, isn't it? Well, I suppose it will cause less trouble for both of us in the long run. Before I can declare you antedeceased, I must be satisfied you're committed to being dead one day, says the official. No dabbling in immortality, no living life to the fullest. You're just a shell of meat and juice patiently awaiting its end. The traditional way to do this is to stage yourself a premature funeral. Public demonstration of mortality. Then there's just some paperwork and you're officially living for death. Now this is the death. Okay, let's pick up a heartfelt eulogy. You sit down and compose what turns out to be a particularly stirring eulogy, if you say so yourself. Shamefully, you won't be around to do this for the real thing. We'll bring in some mourners to the funeral. You're not fussy, as long as they can turn on the waterworks at the appropriate moments. Oh no! Unfortunately, the only available grievers are the Graven, technically alive, but far too busy with paperwork, and the spirits of the dead, whom it seems churlish to invite. You trawl the streets of Erd and the corridors of the court, but just don't manage to attract any interested mourners, just plenty of silent glares and a few following shadows. Well, buy a lot of flowers and fireworks. The official counts your coins carefully, then flings them from the nearest window. He catches your expression. Your money is useless here, he says defensively. The important thing is that it matters to you. Now that I know you've sent what seems like a vaguely appropriate amount, I can organize some suitable decorations on your behalf. Now this is the death. The procession marches through Erd. Fireworks crackle overhead, wreaths of flowers line the streets. The sheer spectacle is enough to attract a larger audience than expected. You sit up in your coffin, waving to your adoring mourners. Finally, you arrive at your grave. The carious official delivers last rites in a bored monotone. As you are lowered, waving into the ground, you don't lie down until the first shovelful of soil hits you in the face. After a few anxious subterranean minutes, the carious official digs you up and hands you a bundle of documents to sign. Very moving, I thought, he says, wiping an imaginary tear from his eye socket. You'll make a fine corpse someday. Thank you very much. I thought after I had retired in wealth, I ought to polish up a bit. I am now one of the antedeceased. Most excellent. I'm not looking forward to submitting my soul, mostly because I want to sell these gemstones. Back to the city, then. Now then, I want to sell these gemstones. It certainly makes up for the new parts I bought. And we've attained a cryptic benefactor. Those are always handy, although actually I have far too many of them at this point. 12 cryptic benefactors. I have quite the little black book. Now, what more can we do here? We were told to proceed onwards to the... what was it called? Regarding the long passage, we were told to proceed onwards to Death's Door. Yes, it is called Death's Door. I had to verify that I was correct about that. We're still looking for the Forge of Souls somewhere in the Blue Kingdom. If Death's Door is in the north on the far side, opposite the relay, maybe the Forge of Souls is in the east. That would be simple enough. For the Didact is also looking to go to the Forge of Souls to consult the Roll of Ash. Oh, we can buy fuel here, but the only supplies they've offered are petrichor. This place may not have supplies for a living crew. I'm going to have to watch out for my supply count while I'm here. All right. Oh, is that the White Well? Can we sail over that? It's not pulling us, and it's quiet. That's certainly the White Well. I am not flying over the center of that. Yeah, this is an appropriate distance. You know, it was bad when every well was noisy, and it's bad to find a quiet one. Isn't that something? What is this? Well mouth. A smattering of dark cottages at the White Well's edge. It is surrounded by endless rows of tumbled and broken statues, mere specks against the snow. Howling winds erupt from the frozen abyss, rattling roofs and chasing snow over mist-shrouded streets. Most of the silhouettes in the snow are statues, cracked and mutilated by age. A few are not statues, but gaunt women in mourning veils, who skitter suddenly into motion as you come near, and fall into silent line behind you. At the center of the village is a squat black cottage. Its walls throb. These cadaverous figures are known as the Widows at the Well. Their role is to inter the failed dead. Ah, this is where we can drop off the psalmists. Thy mercy is good, deliver me. The psalmists emerge from your train, pulling coats tight against the wind. They form a bleak, snow-battered huddle. A few hurry to fetch the wood and tools they brought. Soon they've laid the foundations for a church. We can manage our own affairs for a while, the twice-scorned priest tells you. His nose and ears are already bitter red from the cold. Take these maps. We don't need them anymore. The church should be finished in 2 weeks. Visit us then. As you leave, you notice a line of widows assembled in the distance, watching wordlessly. You should return later once their church is built. 2 unlicensed charts. Very good. What is up with these figures? You've attracted a half-circle of veiled observers by now. They respond to your questions with whispers and a hiss among themselves. You are in the wrong place, says one of them finally, stepping a little too close. She points to where the lights of Erd twinkle on the other side of the well. The stone-faced court is there. Grandmother will know you're here by now, says another of the widows. If you intend to stay, you must meet with her, else fly away at once. I should speak with this person anyway. The relict is an old woman of colossal stature, as tall and broad as a wagon. Her face such a mass of wrinkles that her features are almost entirely lost. She shuffles aside and gestures silently to an armchair beside a roaring fire. You ignore the insistent skitter-scratching coming from inside the walls, and you enter her parlor. The relict collapses into an armchair opposite you, taking up her needles. They clicker and clack, knitting together black threads that outstretch from the walls and ceiling and floor. One of the widows pours you a warm-ish tea, then kneels at the relict's side with her head bowed. Certain actions in Wellmouth are only available to characters with the antedeceased status. I see. A selection of immaculate souls if I wish to linger at Wellmouth. I will leave. So, there must then be some reason to linger. But nothing that we need to examine presently. Where else can we manage to go? Nethermore? Alright, so it seems that everything we've come across so far has been a bit of a line. Well, we were pointedly going northwest before. This is a claustrophobic area. Horrors patrol heaven. They seek stray souls. Senior Scrivener. We've faced these before. So long as it's not two at once. That one on our right is a simple scribe spinster. Not a senior. I swerved into that. Notable amount of damage. Crockery. How lovely. You're not done. There we go. We are much more damaged than I would like to be. Oh no, both of those were seniors? They chose very different attacks. Well, now we have a lot of bronze wood, so there. An enclave of the dead. These shades, some once human, some not, all masked and quiet, are performing the observances they hope will secure their passage through death's door. They pray around a pattern of stones arrayed in complex circles. Occasionally, one of them stands and moves a stone, provoking a fierce, but silent and gesticulatory argument. When you approach, they stop. The laws of guest right require that they offer you respite. The crew are wary, but your hosts insistently press bowls of pale food into your hands. We're not getting food somewhere else, so... You tarry a while, waited on by the slow, courteous spirits of the dead. Their food is petrichor, the sweet spun-sugar confectionery eaten in the kingdom. The ruins are still and restful. You doze a while and wake to porcelain masks watching over you. Interesting. Alright, that was a lot of damage to take. I'm gonna have to find out if there's another route to Sky Barnet. We can get repairs in Sky Barnet. But we need to not run into, like, a Logos would be very dangerous right now. Spirifers lurk in these passes, hunted by the Guardians of the Blue Kingdom. The Division of the Heart. Let's see. There might be a passage just north around this end. The music here in the Blue Kingdom is lovely, as it has been in many other places. I appreciated the music that was in Eleutheria when the game was not insistent on just playing this haunted howling over and over again. Ah, so we've got something over there. A cantankery? I was kind of hoping I could tear it apart for food. Those little things really are everywhere. Otherworldly artifacts from between its plates, thank you. Canning equipment, here we go. It's still unclear if we can actually resupply here in the Blue Kingdom. Oh, your navigator sidles up to you. You've been keeping up with the dailies, Captain. Ah, I see. I've progressed my unaccountably peckish a little bit. No need for rash action. I brought criminals on board before. It's not that new. Oh no, 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 no. North, north, north. We're going north. We're going north. That sound is not kind. That is no good. Whew. And yet, the full extent of the panicked expression in my face will remain unknown to you. Still hearing the noise. Is it still following me? It might still be following me. The Lyceum. I'm antedeceased. I'm allowed to be here. I think. This is what we were looking for. It's right over there. It's right behind us. It's going to be there when I undock. A colossal, many-towered citadel contains the Lyceum, an ancient library and rumored to hold the fabled Forge of Souls within its depths. A somber citadel of many towers broods behind high bronze walls. Wait. The Blemigan will do something here? Let's look for the Forge of Souls. Towers upon towers and dust upon dust. The citadel here seems entirely deserted. The clay conductor moans with frustration. Why is nothing in my life easy? So there is someone beyond the gate who could help. What is the Blemigan doing? The Blemigan flattens itself onto the floor and lies still for several moments. Abruptly it stands and makes its way over to your feet. It taps a tendril on the ground meaningfully. You have brought it to the correct place, but it requires more. The Forge of Souls needs to be operational. I didn't know it had a place to go. Ah, that's a worthwhile bargain. And once again, we can buy petrichor here, but not normal supplies. This stuff is also at triple the cost of regular supplies. I don't know if it lasts longer or not either. Engine is always hungry, isn't that the truth? So, at the gates. Gates are high as tall cedars, masked faces carved into bronze, gaze down upon the courtyard impassively. Beyond the gates, the towers of the Lyceum rise higher still, forlorn and foreboding. For wanton knocker, you pound your fist against the bronze. A few spirits turn their head in wonder, but nothing happens. Then slowly a thin grate shrieks open in the lower part of the left gate. A skeletal face peers out. You are neither yoked nor an ephemera. The Lyceum is not for you. The grate shrieks closed. I see. You notice that one of the spirits of the dead is lying and convulsing in the gutter. Its porcelain mask is cracked. The other spirits walk swiftly by, not even pausing to glance in its direction. Noticing your concern, a bureaucrat stops beside you. A voice issues from the jar tucked under its arm. It has a disease of the soul, explains the jar hollowly. Far rarer than any disease of mind or body, and more difficult to treat. The poor thing will likely unravel soon. Nothing to be done, unless you have something that might strengthen it. Oh my goodness, you can give up a searing enigma, and it says here, you will not be rewarded for this kindness. If I had one, I would give it anyway. As you kneel, it fiercely grasps your hand. Be careful, mutters the bureaucrat, stepping back. You might catch something. The spirit clutches at you and moans and whispers incoherently. Its back arches. It begins to wither, to unravel. Spools of thread uncurling from its robe and winking out of existence. Now it will never get a chance to pass through the door, says the bureaucrat, shaking its head. It will just be gone. Oblivion. Nothing. The spirit has almost vanished now. Only a wisp remains in your palm. And then, nothing, repeats the bureaucrat. Ah, well. Vision of the heavens, to terror, and our soul has become clear, unfortunately. I would prefer flickering. Flickering, I need. Okay. I'll buy as many Navaratine gemstones as I can carry. We need to make our way back to Sky Barnet. So there's a question about whether or not we can get down through here. It looks like there may be a ridge there that will allow me to get back down to Sky Barnet. We'll see. But we have an immediate concern, I think. Possibly. Maybe it left. I'm not getting the noise of it anymore. Ah, it's over there. Well, let's not be over there. The one in the west was crimson. This one looked blue. I'd wager that there's probably a set number of these Lagoi. Not sure if I want to use probably or perhaps. Can't go on making snap judgments about the nature of death. Might bite me. Let's relax a bit. Oh. Advocacy of Slaw. Logos of the Perfection. That's a lot of damage. I lined up just wrong. I'm not going to continue fighting with that. It looks like I can outpace it. It's not chasing very quickly. So, we'll have to be making the long way back over to Sky Barnet. This is the spot where I had faced, I think, against the other Logos. If it's back there, it might get me. Yeah, it seems like I can keep ahead of that. I hit the wrong strafing button. I always have a hard time remembering which is which when I'm facing southwards. These things do make a dreadful noise, don't they? From Sky Barnet to flee into the Reach is not terribly hard, it seems. There are hungers in the Blue Kingdom, tolerated because they consume excess souls. Be wary. That's very nice, thank you. So long as we don't overheat, we might be able to take this on, but our pursuer is behind it. Keep on moving. A little bit of a scrape, that's okay. Stop in with the dead for tea. I don't know how Dining of the Dead is going to progress, but it's a quantity, and I do like to see those go up. I think our pursuer might have gotten tangled. I can only hope that's the case. Blast through a few cantankery. Let's can them. Yes, there we go. Just keep eating cantankery. It's possible that to proceed through here, I may need to attain the status of ephemera. Whoa! Okay, that doesn't actually seem so bad. Although I see that they come in packs. and they are quite speedy. Yeah, you just run into each other. They are actually biting each other. Interesting. Let's see what you're worth. A rancid horror with the elongated muzzle of a crocodile and the plumage of a peacock corpse conjoined by a knot of bloated hippopotamus with many, many mournful eyes. That is 3 different Egyptian gods of the dead. Or traits of the dead, so to speak. The crocodile is the one who judges, the hippopotamus is the guide, I believe. Ugh. The bane of the trespasser and the devourer of the dead. The powers of the Blue Kingdom tolerate them because they thin out the ranks of the unwanted dead. Give experience or reduce terror. Let's search its maw. 3 stokers hold the line of your skysuit as you plunge in. The smell is abhorrent, drawing your gaze to the rotting church steeples of its teeth. Between the sharp spindles of the teeth, you find the remnant of the eater's recent meals. Nestled, unchewed, between 2 black molars, you pry out a number of souls. Okay. That is a tolerable enemy. Extract its meat. Now that the beast's bones are exposed, you can see that they are scored with correspondence. The sigils are fractured, many of its still pulsing internal organs are twisted and deliquescent. I have never ever seen that word before. Interesting. This doesn't look like damage from your weapons. Was it made to be thus? So from what I've seen so far in the Blue Kingdom, it doesn't seem like we can buy supplies, but there are various creatures here that can be eaten. And I suppose we'll have to keep to that. Repairs, please? Oh no. A point of gratitude of the Embassy of Albion. Okay, so let's go to the embassy. I have port reports for them, so I should be able to get repaired. Yeah. Port reports in the Blue Kingdom. 2 gratitude of the embassy. I don't need those notes. Can I speak with the ambassador? Haha. When you arrive, the ambassador is dressing a wound on her arm. My predecessor was afraid to leave the toll tower, she remarks as you come in. He hardly saw any of the Blue Kingdom. I'm determined not to duplicate his errors, but as you see, there are some costs to the more assertive approach. The cuts on her arm are clean and shallow. They look like characters in an unfamiliar alphabet. An encounter with the Lagoi, she says. And no, I don't know what it's supposed to mean. Sit. What do you want from me? Financial concerns, perhaps? There is, the ambassador admits, a small matter. The embassy's place in the toll tower is leased by permission of the Blue Kingdom. Observe the lease, she says, pushing a document across the table towards you. It says that we are entitled to remain here for 3 viewings of the sun. The devils take this to refer to days by the calendar, and they're having fees levied against us, but I argue that I haven't seen the judgment of the Blue Kingdom even once, so the lease is nowhere near complete. She watches expectantly to see whether you still want to be involved. Oh, that sounds delightful. Awkward and embarrassing introduction. Where can I renegotiate the lease? The House of Days will have to give a ruling, the ambassador says. They do intake for humans at the Court of Apes. They've never allowed me further than that, but perhaps you'll be more fortunate. Court of Apes, the House of Days. That's right, I'm antedeceased, so I can go to the House of Days now. Anyways, back at the toll tower. Repairs. Position repairs. I see. We can get 90 hull back without having to give them any sovereigns at all. The engineer appointed to you is accompanied by a trio of masked spanner-carrying shades, his apprentices. He directs their work, but they learn very quickly. This seems to distress him. I've yet to find anything the dead can't do better, he confides. Very good. Okay. Now, for the various things in our hold, let's bank all of the bronze wood and the souls. and most of the Navarretine gemstones, but it seems as though there are a couple uses for gemstones and Immaculate Souls. So we're going to carry some of that around. I'll withdraw the fuel that I had accidentally purchased before. I also if you bank supplies somewhere else, you could withdraw supplies here without having to leave Blue Kingdom, technically. Literature for Death's Door. Undistinguished Souls for the Forge of Souls. 5 jumbles. I'll take that on. Why not? Yeah, it does seem useful to carry souls around. I just like that honestly, I just like that there's, you know, a saying in an armor slot that you can acquire here that's absurd. Absurdly good. And we do have handily more armor as a result of all this. Oh, yes, I can put the speciometer away. I don't need to have it equipped. Let's see, so I could bring on the ratty baggage handlers. Oh no, the wit and vinegar winch and pulley. Or I could bring on the Proserpina. But I haven't found anything to mine. Not certain there will be anything to mine. I don't know why there would be. Oh, that just deposited it again, didn't it? There we go. There's a proper amount of hold space. Put away the speciometer. We no longer need it. Did they have another... Fitted cupboards is hull slot. The Gates of Ivory is utility slot, requires veils of 65. Okay, so there is a better version of this. I just can't mount it, really. Oh, and I'm still using the Vala right here. The Golganuza is probably the better accompaniment to the Wrath of Heaven. I believe I have a Golganuza in the bank as well. No? Is it just a black jape that I have here? I suppose all I have here is a black jape. But I'm not meeting the requirements for either of them, am I? It should be under profile. Irons of 42. Let's switch that over. And maybe this as well. It's hearts or irons, same difference otherwise. So with that, we could equip the black jape. Hearts at 74 is fine. This is 3 short of the 65 that it would need to be in order to equip the better piece. So I'm going to purchase a Golganuza and bank it for now. Alright. I'm not seeking to make good on this Souls delivery just yet. Well, I could be. We'll see. Let's go first to the House of Days. So I need to figure out how to get into the Forge of Souls, or into the Lyceum. I think the key there is going to be changing my status. We're going to have to break the law. I feel like I should be able to travel under the auspice of a dead predecessor. Oh no. That dead predecessor is not actually in the Blue Kingdom. They would have to be at the bottom of Old Tom's Well. Shame that. Attempt the doorway. You must be clean in purpose and in body, and to this end you are washed with vinegar and scrubbed with salt. Then you are given 3 poems in honor of the Sapphired King, which you must read aloud in chorus with the others entering the house just now. Not as bad as my litigator made me think, remarks a cheerful shade beside you, but that is before the ceremony of inhalation. You are tested with the odor of the rotting dead, and you only just escape being most improperly ill. After all this, the attendants direct you towards the Court of Apes. This is where you belong. A man in military trousers reads a newspaper. A masked gorilla holds a sheaf of documents written on banana leaf. On the wall is a sign that says everything in its place. When you read it a second time, it says the queue forms to the right. This is where you belong. I can remove the lightless flaw at the permanent cost of 1 mirrors. But I could get it removed in Carillon without permanently losing a status. A Testament of the Feather. Be used to gain access to various officials elsewhere in the Blue Kingdom. But that's a Veil's test, and I'm not very good at it. Let's lurk for a moment. This court attends to apes and monkeys, to humans, and to certain orders that appear similar to humans. It issues testaments of the feather when the attendants think another court should listen to someone's rightful claim. And they say that lightless souls can be cured here, though at a significant price. As you watch, a yoked shade carries in a basket of figs. Let's begin renegotiating this lease. You sit. You lose feeling in your legs. Sometimes you see another ape rise from its place. It shakes hands with the ape to its left and the ape to its right, grave courtesy from gorilla to chimp, from chimp to woman, from woman to gibbon. At last, ape 2047 may approach the window. You perform your handshakes. The attendant holds the lease close to the eye holes of its mask. Finally, its voice jar speaks. Clarifications on existing contracts go to the Court of Mules. You will need a testament of the feather to be heard there. It hands the lease back and summons ape 2048. Court of Mules in the House of Days to argue about contract terms. I wonder if the failure on this just does something bad, but if we're spending a cryptic benefactor, it might still get us what we want. Nope. Nuisance suits are not regarded kindly in the Blue Kingdom. Ha! Court of Apes, Oaks, Mules, and Mayflies. With 2 testaments of the feather, I can claim right to an audience. Your liver will be required as a deposit. You will get it back later. A litigator can argue your right to enter for you with 1 testament of the feather and without depositing your liver, which is probably handy. Anyway, the Court of Mules. Yeah, I need a testament of the feather to do something. They can remove curdled souls, the cost of 1 iron permanently. You can subcontract your litigator. All right. What other options are here? Court of Oaks. So if you are yoked with a testament of salt and 2 casks of gemstones, you can claim the status of ephemera. Okay. And at the Court of Mayflies, you can claim the status of ephemera. Perhaps you were antedeceased when you arrived here, but life is so short. Produce a witness to your death and be recognized as ephemera. Let's do it. I'll need this to get inside the forge. Your litigator is required to recount your death from personal experience. They describe an incident with the escaped spirit of a bull elephant, a lack of nerve, a heart attack. 2 court officials in a row go on break before the description is complete. The 3rd attendant does stamp you ephemera, however. The mark is applied to your lower lip, and it is the iridescent green-black of a beetle's carapace. Ha 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 ha. Breaking the law. Definitely don't want to just walk up to the Panzerkritis. That's a bad idea. Yeah, okay. I wonder if there are other ways to get this feather right thing. The feather testament. We will find out later. I'm going to go back up to the Forge of Souls. Okay. let's hope that I don't need to be anti-deceased again at some point. It seems ephemera is the status of kind of the general dead, and probably where we want to hover. Don't mind me, I'm totally dead. Now, what bears questioning here is, will this impact my ability to leave? Oh, it's the dog. Yeah, that's fine. It's just a large dog. Doing large dog things. Inadvisable large dog things. For those lurking along the chat, our fellow captains, building up sovereigns, I haven't considered or determined by rights what you should be able to claim in exchange for your time. If you've an idea, I'd love to hear it. I don't have much in the way of listener incentives or channel point expenditures. I play a lot of Dead by Daylight, and I have a few things related to that. There's a lot of detritus in the Blue Kingdom. Oh, a Scornfluke. Good shot. That one's off. The gelatinous flesh spasms, the broken spines rattle. Its piping grows doleful. The fluke is dying. Impale your hand upon a spine. Combine your memories with its own. The spine is thin and passes easily between your metacarpals. Searing pain settles in your jaw. Your injured hand is as a graze. This is the anguish of profound sorrow. There is a scent of sweat, sharp like fear. The sound of a scream cut short. A crew, not yours, destroyed, punctured. They had traveled far, not far enough. A soul, bright and cheery, drawn slowly from a weary tourist. She claimed to have seen it all. She had not. An Empyrean vessel, broken between rocks and the fluke's built bitterness. The crew, without time to don sky suits, picked off one by one. None knew of exile, but someone must. Body after body, broken, pierced, soulless. Someone somewhere must have a clue to its location. A clue to its location? None knew of exile, but someone must. Are Scornflukes collectively seeking something? They're trying to find something? I know very little of Scornflukes. There do seem to be a number of anguished things in the skies. Some things that are created, born of anguish itself. Right then, let's see you reject me a second time. Here's my credentials. I'm dead. I promise. Don't double check this. You don't need to do any vetting. It's fine. Now, let me into the Library of the Damned. Let us enter the gates. You do not know if you're welcomed here. As you approach the gates, the few spirits hovering in the courtyard begin to cluster behind you. A grate at eye level shrieks open. A skeletal face peers back at you, eyeball to hollow gem-studded socket. You are permitted, the unworthy scribe says, in a voice of molten lead. Not the rest. The lamentation has made herself more than clear. The grate slams shut. With a long grinding moan, the left grate creaks open a fraction. It is enough to slip into the dark chamber beyond as the gate swings shut behind you. We're here. Board report. The Lyceum is a trove of buried knowledge, the lore of kings and regents, the notes on the creation of the servants of the stars. The scribes and clerks in the service of the Lamentation of Mists do what they can to organize and catalog the vast archives, but the Lamentation's work comes first. The sky around is lit with cooling sparks from the forge itself, its smoldered chimneys protected by the storied towers of the Lyceum. Here, knowledge is created. The Graven's eye sockets are studded with twinkling white sapphires. His fingers drum on his stone desk, propelled by nervous energy. He adopts the tone of a tour guide. This, he tells you, is the Lyceum. It has had many purposes over the aeons, but has fallen into neglect. The great Lamentation of Mists aims to restore this once glorious citadel to its former stature, but it will take time and work and patience. He looks about at the voiceless spirits shuffling disconsolately through the stacks. The Lamentation has had to take what help she can find. I probably don't want to talk with something called the Clerk of Sevens. What about the Forge of Souls? The unworthy scribe hisses, like a kettle on the boil. The sapphires in its eye sockets dim. The forge is under the Amaranthine Edict, he rasps. For your benefit, that means the Sapphired King has taken it under his protection to prevent against unwise use. Once it was the province of all kings. The westernmost has learned the powerful lesson of that mistake. Painful lesson, sorry. The unworthy scribe drums his fingers against the stone of his desk. Be satisfied that you have been allowed within the Lyceum. Be content with its wonders. Do they not suffice? So I can bribe him. That's only 500 sovereigns. It's like nothing. And then there's a hidden passage you can look for with a moment of inspiration, 3 fuel and 3 supplies. First, I'm going to try and meet with the Lamentation of Mists. The unworthy scribe shakes his head sadly. The Lamentation prefers to choose her servants herself. It is beyond my remit to procure service for her, and besides, he glances around at the wealth of moldering shelves and scattered clay tablets. She's excruciatingly busy. Can offer a tribute from 3 scraps of ancient knowledge. An endorsement gets us a scrap. Ministry-approved literature or a testament of the feather. Ministry-approved literature is the simplest one to come back with. But let's do that another time. It's the Clerk of Sevens. Lamentation Servant. The unworthy scribe opens the door for you. The skeleton's eyes wink in the light. The clerk was a Londoner once. Perhaps you'll get along. The clerk sits on top of the desk reading. She leans against a vast stack of dust-covered papers. She glances up from her book. Her smile is quick, mischievous. What do you do here? And her title is not informative. I'm cataloging the number 7, she shrugs helplessly. All history, science, law, art, fiction. Every and any occurrence of the number 7, I record and file it. It could be worse. I could have the 6s. Can you imagine doing it for the 12s? Can I assist you? Listen, I wasn't first through the Abbot horizon, but I was pretty close, and I made a bad deal. I didn't know much better then. Have you been to the Forge? The venturer there was the first through. He and the captain who brought him were bound here in service. The venturer chose to stay here, but I gave up my locomotives so the captain could escape. Now I'm bound here in the captain's place. She snorts. I didn't come to the skies for this. I want to leave. The correspondence is my way out. With the right sigils, I could fashion a loophole, or at least a temporary exemption. The venturer that is being referred to, as well as the captain, that's one of the endings of Sunless Seas. What does she want you to do? I've learned as much as I can of the correspondence here at the library. The signs I need are obscure ones. I can't find them here. She hands you a sheaf of notes and a couple of charred books. I've scraped together some clues to locations the sigils might have been used. If you can collect, say, half a dozen of them, I should be able to amend the terms of my service enough to free myself, for a time at least. There are 18 sigils scattered across the sky in ports and discoveries. You need to recover any 6. Note says lustrum, and what about the logoi? Or swallowed by the past in a place where the weft of time had frayed. What does this mean? Past. That could refer to Skyhenge. Back to the gates. So, what about this bribery? I have sovereigns. The embittered devil grins as they approach the unworthy scribe. The scribe raises their hand. Oh no, it's fine. On you go. 1 scrap is enough. The embittered devil looks disappointed. The unworthy scribe drums his fingers frenetically against his desk. One supposes there's only so much harm you could cause. The forge remains unkindled. This way, if you please. The unworthy scribe leads you through the Lyceum, down and deeper into its vaults. You pass unlit furnaces and empty vats. The hollowed-out shells of colossal towers, all shrouded with a thick carpet of gem-inflected dust. The scribe tells you that once all of the Lyceum was the forge, or rather, the Lyceum was a small part of the forge. But this, he tells you, leading up a dizzying stone stair, was its heart. Ground is carpeted in knee-high drifts of scintillant chromatic dust. At the base of the forge there is a lone figure, the first venturer, guardian of the Forge of Souls, now sifting through the dust and ash. He guards the forge in his own way. A man who spends his time tending the forge is covered in scars from old frostbite acquired from traveling across the skies. When he's not working, he can be found in the courtyard between the forge and the Lyceum, sifting through the sands of dust and gemstone accrued at the forge's base. What is your advice on the forge? The venturer chews his lip thoughtfully. Owing to a technicality of procedure, I'm a custodian of the forge, but I'm forbidden from repairing it. He picks up a handful of glass. It pours through his fingers like sand through an hourglass. The lamentation of mists is supposed to keep an eye on me. I am forbidden to fix the forge. You are not. If you could convince her to look the other way, well... Share stories. He fetches wine, Greyfield's famous mushroom wine, from the Neath. Not many bottles left, he confesses. I must be careful. I promise to save the last. He fills your cup in his, and asks you about your adventures and the long road that brought you to the Blue Kingdom. At last you angle the conversation toward himself. Ah, he says, I was the first through the horizon. Not the Parsifal. I was. We opened the gate, sailed through. I wasn't alone as I am now. He smiles. My apologies. As I have been until now. His conversation turns somber as he speaks of his old companion, whose duties have since been taken on by the Clerk of Sevens, who opted to take their place. The venturer, too, serves out his sentence here. One day he hopes he will sail the skies again. Okay, so it seems as though we will need to speak with the Lamentation, which will require us to have something we don't have right now. Pass over these undistinguished souls. Got some Navaratine gemstones. And we'll buy the last of the gemstones that were available here. Well, we certainly have literature, so I suppose we're going to turn back and grab a bit. It's a shame how useful veils are, considering we don't have them. We have to keep making this pass back around the Division of the Heart and over to Sky Barnet. We could possibly pass through the White Well and see if there's anything that's different, anything that we can acquire. We want to make sure, I think, every time we get through that we're turning in port reports. Since our ability to repair is going to be gated on port reports specifically, we can't pay for it with sovereigns. We need to make sure that we're keeping up a little bit of that. It's very possible that I will get back over with that, with some ministry-approved literature, and they're going to tell me I need something else on top of that. Another scorn fluke. Missed by me. It's best to be patient. The Scorn Fluke is not very dangerous so long as we have the fuel dot. There we go. Further communion. I now have 16. Another moment of inspiration. Oh. I can persuade the dead to show me a piece of a lost sigil. And share visions of the heavens with them. I see. Let them drink the ichor in your blood. Consumed enough petrichor that your blood has begun to turn into ichor, thick as treacle and the color of milk. The dead crave it. Okay, I ought not to be eating petrichor. That's a good hint. Caged catches for unlicensed charts. When you speak, the dead are quiet. When you pause for reaction, there are none. When you are done, still they are silent. Did they enjoy the story, your performance? One, a head shorter than the others, moves towards you. It grasps your palm and traces a symbol onto your palm. Once. It is not enough for you to learn the whole pattern, but it is a start. You will need to feel the sigil 3 times before you can record the full sigil. Interesting. Not terribly expensive to do, and we've come across this particular patterning of stuff in the sky a couple of times. Our supplies are holding level without having to resort to petrichor, and that's good. Fortunately took that collision. This is just going to be sovereigns, isn't it? Yeah, not terribly useful. Okay, this tells me we ought to go up to the stone-faced court. We'll need the port reports. If I'm going to be periodically taking damage, I need to keep on that. The silence of the White Well is still intriguing. It's so weirdly static. Ah, actually, if I buy this literature here, then I can turn right back around without having to go all the way back to Sky Barnet. Oh, this is new. When I heard the court was to be graced by ephemera, I put myself forward as your guide. Before I take you to the trials, I have a favor to ask. You follow the ombudsman until your feet hurt. This seems a sufficiently obscure location, he says finally. I'm investigating the graven who run this court. To put matters simply, I doubt their integrity. They claim their judgments are passed down by the Watcher who speaks inside their heads. The ombudsman's voice brims with outrage, but I believe the Graven are deciding judgments themselves, far beyond their remit. Why hasn't he chosen me to help? Bluntly, I'm desperate. I need someone to act on my behalf, but I can't trust anyone in this court. The ombudsman paces back and forth, kicking up clouds of dust. The whole bureaucratic system is implicated, and it's near impossible to find good help when yoked spirits are forbidden from setting foot here. Which is all too convenient, isn't it? Anyway, you are not yoked, but the next best thing. A respectable spirit in good standing, just passing through, with no ties to the Graven. If I can't rely on you, I can't rely on anyone. These are unusual circumstances, muttered the ombudsman. There is a need for subterfuge. Henceforth, I will meet you in Erd, away from the prying eyes and ears of the Graven. He pauses. Metaphorical eyes, theoretical ears. For now, investigate the jeweled judge, discover whether she's lying about the Watcher, and preferably hear it from her own lips. Hypothetical lips. He steps back, brushing dust from his robe self-consciously. If this investigation goes well, I hope to be appointed a servitor of the Blue Kingdom. Rest assured, from that position I can reward you most handsomely. All right. Port, please. I see. You can switch back to antedeceased over here. I'm going to submit my own soul for judgment. You're judged worthy, a testament of roses. Watcher, calls the jeweled judge, grant me your wisdom. Guide me to truth. As she bows her gem-encrusted head, a group of robed Graven poke you and prod you and measure you with calipers. One waves a feathered wand over your head. Another burns incense beneath your nostrils and watches the smoke. A third peers intently into your ear. Your soul has been measured and found worthy. Your soul is of remarkable quality, says the judge kindly. Flawless, sparkling with ideas. Some scar tissue, enough to add the texture of wisdom. Not enough to twist it beyond recognition. I'm more than happy to issue a testament of roses. Cool. I figure I'll need that stuff. Trials of the Dead. Eventually, a spirit is ushered forth whose case has unique complications. The spirit under trial is an ephemera who has been bounced around the Blue Kingdom for decades. Its case file is a stack of stone tablets that the jeweled judge reads through with evident horror. The spirit just wants to be declared dead, but its papers have been repeatedly misfiled. Its soul raises all sorts of false alarms among the spirit measurers, and its corpse was exhumed and used in unsettling experiments. All this has apparently greatly complicated its post-mortem status. I'm sorry, but the Watcher has told me I must declare you ephemera for the 11th time, says the judge apologetically. Please ensure these issues are sorted before you return for another trial. The spirit's shoulders slump in defeat. I'll argue his case myself. Objection! You stand before the court and go through the ephemera's paperwork line by line, pointing out corrections, amendments, and addenda. It takes 2 full days, but by the end it is clear that the ephemera has already done everything asked of it by the bureaucracy. The judge sighs. Fine, congratulations, I declare you dead. The spirit whoops with joy. As he leaves the courtroom to meet his fate, he pauses to whisper in your ear the name of the woman who killed him. Word quickly spreads around the court that you are some kind of prodigy. You're immediately inundated with gifts from other spirits, anxious for you to help them navigate the bureaucracy's twists and treacheries. Cool. Yeah, we'll buy a round for the crew. Just costs a couple of souls, that's fine. After a long day's work at the court, the Graven gather here. To avoid spillage, most of them tip their drinks directly down their exposed throat, bypassing the mouth entirely. It's all vanity, one of the Graven drunkenly tells you. The Sapphired King granted us an exemption from the usual laws of death, so we could carve the flesh off of our faces and not die. Ha! We try so hard to obscure the fact we're alive, but the tragedy of it is, the skulls don't fool anyone. Well then, back to the city. Let's meet that ombudsman. He's twitchy, he's abrupt, he's rude to the waitress. He clearly doesn't enjoy all this skullduggery. I interrogated the jeweled judge for hours, and all I got out of her was a selection of inoffensive anecdotes. The ombudsman shakes his head solemnly. She's a tough nut to crack, that's for sure, but I have a plan. Every few months, the Graven go to a grand ball called the Coria Macaborium. That's quite the mouthful. It's rare for outsiders to attend, and they know about my investigations, so there's no way I'll be invited. But if there's anywhere the judge will let her guard down and speak freely, it's there. Report back as soon as you've discovered a clue. How do I get an invitation? I happen to know that the Carius official has received an invitation to the Macaborium, but he doesn't plan to attend, says the ombudsman. I expect he'll be happy to give it to you. In order to get him to meet you, though, your status must be invisible or antedeceased, so I suppose that's impossible, he sighs, in which case you'll need to flatter the judge with a gift of gemstones, and hope she sees fit to invite you. Well, I could go back and become antedeceased, but it's annoying. I will just, I'll just give her some gemstones. Take them. You manage to catch the jewel judge during one of her rare breaks. She raises a hand to shoo you away, but her mouth falls open when you start pouring gemstones at her feet. Well, you certainly have my attention, she says primly. When you explain your desire, she takes a step back and sizes you up. I suppose having someone with a face in attendance will be a novelty, and you have an admirably direct approach. She retrieves an amethyst-studded envelope from her magisterial robes and hands it to you with a nod. Let's attend the Coria Macaborium. Coria Macaborium. Coria Macaborium. Coria Macaborium. It's quite something. A waiter offering figs and pomegranates on a silver tray. A band playing drums and pipes. A puppet show in the corner. There's a remarkably pleasant atmosphere, considering you're surrounded by enough skulls to overflow a crypt. The Graven are dressed in colorful linen robes and fringed skirts, their ivory polished to a sheen. They whirl and pirouette across the marble dance floor, laughing and chattering and pouring drinks down exposed throats. The jeweled judge is nowhere to be seen. Let's explore. 100 eyeless faces, a sea of identical grins. You try not to draw attention to yourself as you flit between the Graven, searching for a gem-encrusted skull wearing a horned crown. You accidentally interrupt a backgammon game, knocking dice and clay triangles across the floor. You're momentarily distracted by a teetering game of polo, where the players sit on other Gravens' backs instead of horses, their swinging mallets just a hair from decapitating you as you pass. You apologize as you stumble upon two entwined lovers in the domed gardens outside, furiously clacking their teeth together. Just as you were beginning to abandon hope, you spot her, the jeweled judge, sitting in a private booth surrounded by a cluster of her fellow crowned judges. You know at least one surefire way to get to know someone. Let's seduce this skeleton. A splash of wine, a wink, a caress across her glimmering scalp. It doesn't take much. She's intrigued by your face. She drags you to her room upstairs. Her furnishings are luxurious, her four-poster bed soft as a dream. You tumble into it together, and you're surprised to find an eager tongue within her lipless mouth. For a while, you lose yourselves in exploring each other, then fall entangled into a perfect sleep. You wake to find her standing at the mirror, flinching as she cuts away the veins and scraps of flesh that regrew across her chin overnight. You ask her casually what the Watcher sounds like. The Watcher hasn't spoken to us in years, muttered the judge distractedly, staring into the mirror. It died long ago. Oh! That's quite something. Huh. I knew it, declared the ombudsman, leaping to his feet. Rest assured, my vindication only somewhat dampens my outrage. I'm going to travel at once to the Forge of Souls to present my findings. He pulls from his robes a flawless diamond the size of a horse's heart. Here. It's just a transparent rock containing no souls at all, but I believe it has some kind of symbolic value where you come from. Hopefully it's enough to recompense you for your time. I suppose Navarretine gemstones, then, contain souls, if that's the reason why things are valuable. Oh, that was a delightful little distraction. Well, we're definitely not traveling to the west. It's a good thing I was able to acquire that paperwork I needed without having to contest whatever that is over there. Well, I say whatever that is over there. I'm almost certain it is a Crimson Logos. Okay. I need this thing to be dead. It's a little healthier than that. Take a bit of damage. Experience or reduce terror. I'll claim a trophy. What does failure mean here? Okay, failure is your terror's fallen. Got it. Just barely not reach me. Looks like he got stuck a little bit. Ouch. Oh no, that ought to get him? Here we go. Okay. I'm just gonna go for these sheaves of parchment. I should be doing this more often. Moments of inspiration appear to be handy around here. I don't want fuel. Give me supplies. Hull. That's not too bad. Many have fallen here, seeking to plunder the treasures of the heavens. It's very interesting keeping our supplies level in this area. I think I still had supplies in the bank, and now that I know about the mechanics here, I'm definitely going to put more in the bank next time I have an opportunity. Alright. Let's speak to the Lamentation. Now, I'm expecting that up this way, like this should be the traversal that goes up to the Door of the Dead. Caroline is so drab in comparison. Makes me wonder why they bothered, why they cared. It does seem like Caroline might be modeled after some of the construction here. Devils are welcome in the Blue Kingdom, after all. I can follow up on this here. The Ombudsman obfuscated. He barely glances up to acknowledge your presence. He has a pen in each hand, and he's scrolling furiously across 6 sheets at once. Of course, this being the Blue Kingdom, not all the paperwork is paper. There are stone tablets, a rune-carved obelisk, a spirit lurking in the corner with a requisition form tattooed across its bared chest. Best not to think where the small print might be found. To enter the room, you have to carefully step over a lazing cat with natural hieroglyph-like markings across its back. Do they breed paperwork here? Hello, nice to see you. The Ombudsman talks in short, clipped tones of someone counting every wasted second. I'm trying to submit the results of our investigation, but for some reason they keep bouncing me between different departments I've never heard of, and sending me more and more forms. It's highly irregular. This goes against everything I believe, but I need your help. I need you to help me cut through the bureaucracy. You seem good at that. Let's see. 2 selections of souls to have the embittered devil intercede on our behalf. Let's do it. Every bureaucrat refers you higher and higher up the chain, until you find yourself called to a meeting with the Lamentation of Mists herself. Her wings tremble. The Watcher is dead, she says mournfully. Long gone, decayed. The unworthy scribe whispers in your ear. We allow the Graven to maintain their fiction because the Watcher's status as an omniscient judge means we avoid contending with every court's worst nightmare, appeals. Appeals would overload our creaking bureaucracy beyond recovery. He pauses. Everyone understands this except the Ombudsman, a limited thinker. He must disappear, mutters the scribe spinster, picking fitfully at the tablets scattered about her. You must do it. Lure him to his death or warn him that he is in danger. Well, I really need to get in good with the Lamentation of Mists, and it doesn't seem as though this guy is getting anywhere. Then I must rescue the poor soul at once. Meet me at Wellmouth. The Ombudsman leaps to his feet and rushes from the office. Tattooed paperwork spirit in the corner moans in terror at the prospect of not being correctly completed. The hieroglyph cat claws up your torso, settles in your arms, and turns placidly to stone. I am permitted in the Lyceum. I will petition for an audience with the Lamentation of Mists. I will offer the tribute of one ministry-approved literature. The unassuming scribe sighs sadly. I appreciate the gesture, but we are not in the habit of cataloging your ghastly attempts at profundity. If you wish to restock our Lyceum, I'd suggest searching Eleutheria. The Lamentation is very interested in recovering whatever is left from the library scattered about that unhappy kingdom. So that won't work. So, yeah, we need to have scraps of ancient knowledge or a Testament of the Feather. Okay, the Testaments of the Feather require, that requires veils, which we do not have. Okay. Back to the Forge of Souls, then. They export Navarretine gemstones here. That's interesting. You can always get more. Okay, I'm going to go back over to the Wellmouth, and we're just going to kind of... we're just going to kick this guy down into the well and see if that helps advance our cause. We're just trying stuff at this point. But then afterwards, it seems we may need to go to Eleutheria in order to gather scraps of knowledge, in order to then come back here and get into the Lyceum and get permission to start up the Forge of Souls, which seems to be necessary. Well, we need to talk to the Lamentation for the sake of the Scrolls of Ash to progress our quest for the truth. Adjusted poorly there. That is... Oh, you are really motoring. Woo! Miss me with that. Okay. Another vision of the heavens. So... we might need to spend a lot of time in Eleutheria to cope with what we're missing. Can't have you moving away. I need to butcher you so that I can continue to have things to eat. A few more visions of the heavens, good. This is liable to give me some things that need to be done offline. If I need to gather up all this stuff in Eleutheria, I'm gonna have to hang out at Eleutheria a lot to get those requirements. Unsettled dreams. I'll seek company. Oh, right, I forgot this costs supplies. Mourn the dead. Minnehaha Falls. What do we have here? Crockery. There are so many wrecks. So many wrecks and lost cargo here. Horrors patrol heaven. They seek stray souls. Almost level 20. That's quite something. It's good that we've been able to restock supply with some regularity, but I think I will have to depart the Blue Kingdom soonish. Oh, are they done? Check on the psalmists. The twice-scorned priest stands at his altar, delivering something half curse, half sermon. The widows have promised to kill us if we don't leave, he roars, his knife-gnarled fist raised. May their victuals turn to scorpions in their mouths. May their limbs atrophy, their minds unravel, their souls be damned. Once the sermon is over, he draws you aside. The psalmists are running perilously low on food. They need your help. Can you trade with the stone-faced court? The twice-scorned priest spits on the floor, the graven fear offending the widows too much to trade with us or give us work. Maybe you shouldn't be at the White Well? No, we have moved enough. This is where we must thrive or die. And if we die, so be it. Well, that sounds about right to me. I don't have the supplies for you. The priest's eyes flash. You too will forsake me? He snarls. Thrice now I have been scorned, and each time I rise unbroken from the dust, and my enemies perish like dogs. The thrice-scorned priest and his entire parish follow you back to your train, howling, snarling, tearing at their robes, and hurling increasingly inventive curses. I can seek the lost sigil. The statue is covered with ice. Hacking away the ice is brutal, miserable work. You find no sigil. The ice may have been all that held the statue together. A fracture groans. Half the statue topples forward, releasing a torrent of spiders that were nesting within its hollow core. And there is the sigil, hidden within. The gods' grim humor, an unlikely conspiracy of wrongs, trouble. You soon have the sigil stored in relative safety. The clerk's notes have more suggested locations for sigils. A captain overheard raving at Magdalene's said that he saw a sigil engraved in the bones of a creature half seen and half unseen. There are also reports of a sigil glimpsed deep in the mists of Warlebury. This is quite a lengthy little journey. Well, we'll meet the ombudsman. He is preparing to climb into the well. This will be a dawdle, says the ombudsman, brightly as he drops over the edge. I'll pop down, find what's wrong with the watcher, then come back up and we can work out how to fix it. You watch as he descends. When you pull the rope back up much later, the very end has been chewed off. Eventually you lose sight of him in the darkness. The Lamentation of Mists will be pleased to hear the ombudsman devise. All right. Well, let's go back to that. Anything to be learned from this? Tale of Terror, simple enough. There's nothing else here, really. And I really don't have the supplies to be feeding these random psalmists. So, back over to the Forge of Souls again. The Whisper Winds. Another secret. Keep her distracted. It's fine. It's the norm at this point. I need to watch out for my hull. If the fire that follows showed up now, I'd be in big trouble. You emerge from a recent battle with what initially appeared to be a superficial damage, but now your chief engineer tells you it conceals a deeper structural issue. Ooh, okay. Well, that's alright. Send the crew outside to patch it up. gained 5 hull. Your engineers returned several hours later, crusted with frost and starry-eyed from their time outside. Their repairs were a success. They even patched some of the worst holes in the hull while they were at it. I believe that is a critical damage circumstance. Correspondence sigils, once lost, now found. Ticket for the New Street line. I don't know where it is recorded if you have critical damage. I can't really tell. Well, I might have some critical damage. There are a lot of senior scriveners around here. My goodness, there are. I don't necessarily want to fight with that one. They are a reasonably dangerous opponent. We spend a decent bit of fuel fighting them, and they're very beatable, but will sometimes take damage. Seems like with the Tisiphone, we can safely outpace it. Okay, let's report back to the Lamentation. I hear a vague crackling. Is that a creature? Please do not be a Logos. Okay, no. Go to the Forge of Souls, but there's no reason. Wandering the courtyard. You notice a weary spirit hurrying towards you. It clutches a jar containing its voice babbling frantically. Not far behind it are 2 dead bureaucrats, citing the spirit's violations of its status as one of the yoked. They're gaining on the spirit, whose jar has now begun to sob hysterically. You play decoy for the spirit when a pair of dead bureaucrats appear, carrying a list of duties undone and burdens yet unlifted. The spirit hides as you profess your ignorance, but the bureaucrats quickly tire of you. They find the spirit's name in their book, and in so doing compel it to emerge. The spirit watches you from behind its mask. It is led away backwards. Interesting. Okay, so looks like until I have... I can't even get rewarded for that last little exchange of kicking that man into a well until I can properly get audience. Is there a way out through here? So I think then we need to go back to Sky Barnett either way. Yeah, it looks like there's a way out. Yeah. I hear ya. Let's see if I can get around past the Advocacy of Sloth without being taken notice of. The Eternal Sapphired Lagoi watch this path. It's the Sapphire as opposed to the Crimson. Oh no, it's right up ahead. I need to get past this. Oh. Here. Didn't realize it had been a full month. I think I can slip past now. looking at how much punishment the Spirifer is taking, kind of gives me the notion that I might not want to mess with Spirifer vessels. That's a soul smuggler. Uh-oh. That's a wall. Don't you open fire on me, you punk. You gotta deal with that Logos. Alright. Looks like we can get the Skybar net now. Okay. So we'll have to contend with that Sapphire Logos almost any time we want to go over to the Forge of Souls. More or less. Repairs, please. Thank you. There's the last of our gratitude for now. Got a few things to bank. Zar would ask, gemstones for the White Well, Immaculate Souls for the White Well. This is certainly very, very profitable things to run. We have enough supplies to stay here longer if we want to. Deliver some port reports. Gratitude. Notes on the Blue Kingdom. Trade gratitude for a cryptic benefactor or a moment of inspiration. Pay another visit. So they've got their rental dispute, but this is difficult. How about an awkward and embarrassing introduction? I didn't do that before. Huh. Clear soul flaw. I have died twice, the ambassador says with a dry smile. Once on my way out of the womb, and once when I was ill as a child. Both times the doctor said I was gone, but as you perceive. She shrugs, but her eyes are proud. I can do what most people cannot. I can live in the Blue Kingdom without terror. This distinction I put in the service of Albion. Interesting. So you can recruit crew here. Yeah. The dead want work here. So you can theoretically bring on the dead to work here. And so it seems that you can only buy petrichor as supply while you're here. And I'm assuming that there are detriments to consuming that on a regular basis. It might last longer, I don't know. But we've seen examples of the dead who've only been eating petrichor, and they want other things to eat. They look emaciated. It looks like it'll cause bad things to happen to us. So we need to consider that. And that's a classic trope. It's eating the food of the realm of the dead is not good for you if you want to be alive. So I think we're going to have to leave the Blue Kingdom and traipse around Eleutheria long enough to get at least 3 scraps of missing knowledge. And that is a trek. So ideally for that, we would be able to return the Didact to the Promise of Days and swap over to the Masked Citizen who needs to go to Pan. So if we're going to Eleutheria, we might as well drop him off in Pan. I don't know if that can actually be done or not. I don't know if it will let us swap the person we're carrying around. I think we can. I might actually be able to check on that. Either way, I've been at it for about 3 hours, and my voice is getting a little hoarse, so I'm planning on concluding for now. And I'll be seeing to a few things offline. If I need to go back to Eleutheria to continue my work, then I'm first going to go to Albion and do the first leg of the Albion relay, then go to Eleutheria, and that's a lot of going back and forth and things. I'll probably find some more correspondence sigils while I'm at it, I might do a little bit of work for the Fortunate Navigator, since that requires me to go to Titania. So we may do a few of those things offline. I'm not certain when we'll be back to this. As I have been for the past week, I'm very busy, and I'm expecting to be busy out through the next week. And busy doesn't necessarily mean I won't be streaming at all, but it makes it a little difficult for me to do these 3-hour stints in the kind of prime time of the afternoon. So if anything, I will likely be doing some very late night short runs of Dead by Daylight. I might be doing another one of those a little later tonight, perhaps. We'll see. Thank you for joining. This has been Jupiter Exile, and I hope we wander again soon. Good night.